Hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of Tuesday Tips. As I previously mentioned, this is going to be the walkthrough beginner solves. So I'm doing a few walkthrough solves on 5x5, 6x6, and 7x7. Just a quick note about these solves, these are kind of the beginner walkthrough solves, meaning in a lot of cases there's going to be kind of better options to have more efficient solving, but I'm going to be kind of sticking to beginner techniques and things that I think are important for beginners to kind of look out for. Things that are kind of more on the simple side. I'm not going to be showing advanced tricks at all where beginners would easily get confused and actually these more advanced tricks would usually hinder a beginner's performance because of just too many options or sometimes too confusing. As I mentioned in the original video, the beginner solves are about plus 2 minutes, 4 minutes, and 6 minutes for the each of the cubes. So yeah, I'll get started. Alright, so I didn't actually mention this explicitly in any of the beginner videos, but mostly because I thought it was kind of self-evident. But if you can't start with any center color, stop and start with any center color. There's really no method to doing this. You just need to be color neutral on centers. There's really no excuse to not. Anyways, so in inspection here, I'm looking around. I see a few things. I see right here we have 3 orange centers, which mean an easy middle bar can be made with an M2. That's okay. Green here looks pretty bad. There's only like this bar that can be made here. Similarly, the only thing I'm seeing red. There's 3 2x1s. There's a 2x1, 2x1, 2x1. So we can make a a red center fairly easily. And I'm seeing red, and I'm also seeing yellow. If you remember from the T case trick video, these 2 centerpieces will make a T and then a 2x3 block very quickly. So looking at this, I've noticed that red is actually going to be the easiest center here. If you're a beginner, finding 2 bars when you start is probably a pretty good look ahead for centers. So you can see here this 2x1 with one move will slide up here, and this 2x1 we can move this down, slot here, and then do a U2. So go and F2 to make 2 bars. Then after this, we're just looking for the next bar. So here in this case, it's pretty easy that we should pair up these 2 corners because it's very fast. And then we find the last center here. So now we're on the orange center. So we see here we have an orange center. We kind of have a couple of options what we're going to do on the orange center. As you see here, we can either there's one piece missing to make this bar here, or we can yeah, in this case we're going to want to make this one bar here. So with this middle piece here, we're going to go ahead and just finish off this bar. So now after we made this bar, we do have a couple corners in top, so it would be pretty nice if we could use one of these corners in our next bar, but that's not completely necessary. See here, there's this 2x1. We can actually use the corners here. And then we're simply making the last bar, so we see the first 2 pieces, pair them up, last piece. Alright, so now we're on the last 4 centers. Here the first thing I see is usually I see the center right in front of me, it's blue. Blue seems fairly easy right now. We'll go ahead and start with blue. You have this center. We can do kind of this case here. And then we have another, this corner will match up with this edge here. And we build one more center, or bar. There. So now I always do blue, or I always do the next center on top of the first center I did. It's not completely necessary. It's kind of how I always done it. You can also do it up here if you want. I think actually if you hold the center that you're working on top instead of in front of you, it's better, but I'm just not used to it. So what I'd see next here is I'd see that we already have this 2x2, so it'd be nice to finish out this 2x3 here or here. We have a center and a corner here, so we can, and then we make the rest of the bar. So here we already had a completed bar, which is nice, so we just put this on the side. We have the 2 edges that will line up with this. And then we have a pretty basic finish. So now we're on edges. So notice you don't have to finish this slice back. You can just keep it here as free slice allows for it. I see immediately green and yellow. That's nice. I do see red and yellow also, but since this is kind of a beginner walkthrough solve, we're only going to focus on one edge at a time, as that can get fairly confusing. We have the 3 green and yellows here. Insert. We need to flip these. Alright, now I see blue and white are nice, so I'm going to put these blue and white ones in. Already got 2. Oh, next one's right here. We can do an insert on the left, which is, notice how, in this case, I mentioned in an earlier video, insert on the left. We'll line it up already to be placed right there. Then put this edge on top. Red and yellow, we already have 2, so we'll look for the third. Happens to be right there. Now we can do a common edge trick where this is similar to the last 4 edge trick I mentioned in the previous video. Move over, flip, move back. Insert the edge on top. I noticed earlier that we had the orange and yellow and the orange and yellow here. Then we'll look for the next orange and yellow. It's right there. We can do, since this orange sticker needs to be here, we'll do an insert like this. Since you want to keep all 4 edges finished on one side first, we'll do a Y2 and we'll insert. So now we have all 4 edges solved on top. We're only going to be looking at these 4 edges and the side edges to find our last 8, which makes it easy. 2 orange and white done already. Orange and white. Do a flip. We have a nice 2 green and yellows, or 2 green and whites right here. The next one's there. So we want this green sticker to be here, so we can do a rotation and insert on right. Blue and yellow. 2 blue and yellows here. We can do an insert here. Then we can do slice, flip, slice back to solve here. We have red and white, and red and white. This is nice because it's a simple slice over and then the 2 gen insert. Then we finished the first 8 edges and we finished, we're on last 4. So now I see here, the only edge in the last 4 where there's already 2 edges solved is right here. So the next piece is right there. Notice that these aren't the same, so we're going to have to do this case, which I've shown in the video. Normally I just do the edge in front because it's almost always easy. This one is red and green, find the other red and green, slice, flip, slice. Then our last 2 edge cases, I'm going to assume you don't know these for beginners. We'll solve one, slice, flip, slice, then parity, and then 3x3, which isn't covered. There's a couple 3x3 tips that I'll cover specific to big cubes later, but there isn't really anything special if you're a beginner, just kind of do it. Alright, I'm going to be going a little quicker in this solve as the last one was pretty simple and really broken down. A lot of these things are pretty easy to follow along if you see the moves. I'll be doing all the moves fairly slowly, so hopefully you'll be able to follow along pretty easily. This start's pretty obvious. There's a completed blue bar. If there's a completed bar and you're a beginner, I'd really recommend just go ahead and go for it. Also, we have these 3 pieces right here, which will easily form the next bar. So now we're looking for the next bar. We use blue, blue, blue. We have this nice green completed bar right here. This centerpiece can actually go right here with a nice little, and then insert the bar on top. For the last bar, green, green, green. Pretty simple insert or bar building. Alright, now we have, I think yellow's actually yellow cup, and I see red is in the almost T case. We could use this one, but since making a T with this one, or making the 2 bars of this one would waste these already being joined, we'll use this edge piece, or this center, or this, yeah, the center. And then the last red's here. I see there's already a yellow bar formed here, so I'm going to do yellow, 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 yellow. Now make the last bar. Insert. Alright, so now we can easily make 2 completed bars out of this set. And this is a very easy last bar set. Very nice that we have red and yellow, red and yellow. The last piece is here, so we're going to just do an insert. We see white and green is nice. Luckily, we also have white and green here, and then this is, wow, this is an easy case, because, so this is a little more advanced than beginners, but this is just such a nice case, I'll point it out. Doing this insert here will allow white and green to be solved here, which will then set up a 3-move insert for this blue and orange here, which will solve, so we'll solve both of these, we'll pretty much solve both of these edges in the minimal amount of time with. And they're both solved. Now, we'll insert red and white, slice, flip, slice back. And then we could just insert this normally, but we see green or blue and yellow, so we'll do this insert. Flip, now that we have all on top. Blue and yellow, blue and yellow. We already have orange and green are kind of nice, so we'll look for the next orange and green. It's not on top, so we're gonna assume it's right here. Slice, flip, slice back. Blue and white, blue and white. Blue and white, blue and white. Really building kind of the first 8 edges on a lot of the big cubes, there aren't too many advanced tricks, as I'm really noticing this is kind of pretty similar to how I'm solving generally. Most of the tricks lie in centers and last 4 edges, although this last 4 edges was easy as this was already solved, and now this is a very obvious case we have. I've seen this before. And then this is another standard case, flip, flip, slice back. That was really easy actually. And then go ahead and finish through right 3. Alright, now we're on to 6x6. So during inspection here, we're going to look for bars. Pretty obvious to me, at least, is that I see that white is very easy. We have a 3x1, we have this 2x1 will match up with this 2x1, and we notice there's this stuff like this is already kind of built, so hopefully it'll kind of stick together after we do our initial centers. So what I'm going to plan out here is planning out both these bars might be a little tricky. I can see initially though that matching these up together will be very easy, and it won't mess up this 3x1, so we're going to go for that. And then we're going to finish off this bar with this corner and this 3x1. And now we have 2 bars. Unfortunately, the pieces we saw earlier didn't stick together, but that's okay. We have right here, we have 3 pieces already very easily to set up in a 3x1, and the last piece is right there. Here, it's nice that we have this white center kind of stuck in between these 2 bars, so when we insert this bar, we want to remove this white center. We can quickly match these up. We can match these up. And we finish off the bar like this. So now we're on to the yellow center. We see that we have 3 of the pieces done here with the last one right there. This is also pretty nice. I noticed earlier that we have this 2x1 here in the center. And all we need are these 2 pieces actually to finish it off. It's always good to, if you have this case where you want to see if you want to insert it like this, or you can insert it like this, it's much better to insert it so that they're adjacent so you reduce slice moves later. Here we have a 3x1 in this corner in a nice case. And then we're just making the last bar, matching up pieces. Here we have a couple options actually. I'll call this sort of a beginner tip. There's 2 options for this case to make the last bar. You can either go like this, or you can go like this. Really, it's up to you, whatever you prefer. Alright, so next, we obviously have 2 centers, we're going for a third. We see a 3x1 blue, which is nice. We see the next piece right there. We see these 3 came matched up with this corner. These 3 are matched up. That corner. Match these 2 up. Oh, this is nice. We can just simply finish this off. Now remember, yellow on top, blue in front, red is here, orange is here. Since I was holding it like this, I'd probably move on to red right now. Luckily, we already have this 3x1 piece right here. Easily finished with that. These will match up. And then this is kind of nice. We see that we know that luckily we have two 3x1s. We're not going to try and save it. We just know that these two will stay together after these next moves. Luckily, this kind of happened, so we have another 3x1, that corner. What we probably want to do is, we have this last center stuck down here. Let's just line up these the other three other centers before we deal with this. So this is here, so we're going to go ahead and insert like that, which is nice. Now we're going to make this, we have 3x1, so we're going to build bars from the left to the right. We actually already have a bar here, so we'll just insert that. We can build another bar with this piece, these two and this one. Insert on the left. This piece will match up with these three. Then we can easily, using kind of not a commutator, but the moves I showed in a previous video, we can put this corner here. And then a commutator to solve the last one. Alright, so now on to edges. Again, free slice edges are fairly simple in terms of beginners and experts on the first 8 free slice edges are going to be using a lot, like almost quite honestly exactly the same kind of move sets. What I really covered in that the first video of how to insert your edges is kind of like 90% of the techniques you need to know. The real key in solving your edges, the real key in your edges is kind of 100% recognition, really. Being able to scan the cube and immediately seeing every single piece without in almost instantly is a very, very valuable tool. So I put that one on top because I didn't see anything else and I wanted to put it on top. Just kind of as an example, when I kind of scan the cube really quick, like do a quick like flash to see the pieces, obviously there's a piece in mind I'm kind of looking for, or actually, sorry, I don't see anything here. I'm just going to do an insert to finish off the top 4 edges and then move to the bottom. A lot of times, continuing my previous point, there's a lot of times not some, like I'm obviously looking for a specific piece. Like right now I'm looking for the last orange and white piece. But really if I do a quick look, I'm not just seeing, every piece isn't either orange and white or nothing. That would be kind of a huge waste. I look and I see everything. Like I look and I see these two green and whites, these two red and blues, these two orange and greens. There's a little more looking for this specific orange and white, but I'm also seeing everything else in the cube at the same time. So now, and then, so yeah, that's kind of how advanced, going from beginner to advanced in terms of first 8 edge pairing, it really doesn't have too much to do with kind of the algorithms you're using or the techniques and kind of tricks, as opposed to just having the raw recognition speed and kind of practice needed to kind of, you know, find things quickly. So now that we're on last 4 though, I can kind of look a little more at beginner's stuff. We can do orange and yellow, which is nice. We can do a slice, flip, slice to get 3, and then we're only missing the outer, which we can find here. You want to put this one here, so I'll do slice, flip, slice. Notice on beginner last 4 edges, it's pretty much entirely slice, flip, slice for 6x6. So this one goes here, slice, flip, slice. And the last one's right here, slice, flip, slice. I'll have a video later about, this is a kind of, these you can slice, flip, slice to make the orange, green, and blue edge, and then the green and yellow, or green, not yellow and blue. And then we'll be left with this parity, which we solve. There'll be further videos with much more detailed kind of advanced methods. But yeah, then you pretty much just solve. There isn't, in terms of beginner tricks, I would recommend really just kind of solving your 3x3 stage, like you would normally. Alright. Alright, this one's going to mostly be focusing on centers and last four edges only, as because I said earlier, it's pretty much very simple in terms of there aren't too many tricks for the first 8 edges, despite the first 8 edges being pretty much the most important part of a lot of big cube solves. So green is already done, very nice. Also with these 4 pieces here, we can finish off a bar. And then this corner, these two, this corner. Match these 2 centers. This center. Kind of this center here. Now, we see there's a 2-move bar to be made with these 2 and these 2. These 3 will make it 3x1, 4x1. It's nice that when we can insert it like this, or we can insert it like this. In this case, since it's not completely blank, we want to make sure, whatever happens, we just want to make sure we remove this corner. So even if this corner was over here, and we had this case, we still want to do an insert like this, even though they're separate now, because we removed the corner. We don't want any pieces, any blue pieces in the blue center, except ones that make complete bars. These 3, last, these 2, alright, now we have, I'll probably do, actually yellow is, bar is already made on yellow, along with this 3x1. Last edge is right there, or center, one end slice to make this bar. Match these 2. Match the last pieces there. A 2-mover can be made to match these 2 and these 2, or 3 moves. These 4 make a bar right here. These 3 and this one makes a bar. Match up these. Finish to this corner. Alright, now, oh, this is very nice. We have a first bar already made, and the second bar is already made too. Then we can match up this center with these 2, and then while this is still up, we can actually do, and then these 2 along with this corner, and then a commutator. So again, additionally, I've been thinking more about what I said originally about the kind of solving 4 edges on top or the bottom, and while I do think it's fairly important for a lot of people, if you can't still kind of keep your flow of solving edges, I wouldn't actually recommend it for you. Although a lot of times people might kind of overestimate what like your flow, or like kind of what interrupting your edge recognition means. So I've actually stopped using the solving 4 edges on one side completely. However, I still think this is an incredibly useful tip for most beginners and many intermediate solvers, although it's kind of more loosely defined on whether or not you need it, I'd say. Alright, anyways, last 4 edges, we have do orange and white first. We can do a slice, flip, slice for these 3. Slice, flip, slice. And now we see green and orange and red and blue are both nice. Let's start with a slice. We can do no setups for a slice, flip, slice here. And then this sets up nicely into this piece going here with another slice, flip, slice. Now we have actually a 5x5 last 2 edge case, which is nice. So we'll solve one of them with slice, flip, slice. Then we have parity. And then you just finish up 3x3, which is very important in this stage. The best tip of all is to not look at the timer, because then you will mess up getting a world record every single time. But yeah. Alright, so for a 7x7 walkthrough, there's only going to be one of these, as they're for the beginners, they're especially similar to 6x6, and really there aren't too many kind of center tricks to be shown, except it's kind of basic techniques. So here, I really like to start with the center bar first, as it makes kind of solving the rest of centers much easier in my mind. So Red has a nice center. There's already 3 made here. See some other nice things in the cube. I'm just going to go ahead and go with red because I know I can solve a center pretty quickly. This centerpiece, this centerpiece. Or I meant the middle bar really, but I think people know what I meant. And now we have a middle bar. So then, you see these 3 right here will line up with this one. And then we just need one more middle, which is right there. It is nice also to be building the inside out on these. So if I have a preference, I'll go for the next middle bar, which is right here. This one lines up. This one, and then this one. So now we're just looking at 2 outer bars, which are fairly easy. So make these 3 pieces here, and then that was nice. These 2 actually just fell into place. When you insert, always remember to remove don't insert like this because then you'd have to remove this piece to line up the other bar. Always insert as to remove all extra red pieces when you're building the red center. These 2 will line up. This one will go in here. This corner goes here. This corner lines up, and there we go. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to build, I had a tip video that says we usually want to build the middle center, the middle bar first and the second center. So we start here, we have 3 pieces here. Then we want to get the next 2, which is this center lines up here. And then, so now this is a nice, pretty simple trick. We can insert, we're definitely going to do this. Then we can either do U prime, or a U, or a U. Alright, so we had here, and then or a U. We definitely want to do the U or remove this 3x1, which can then be easily made into the next center, or next bar. Again, we're going to insert a bar in kind of this middle slot. And we want to insert it into this middle slot, so I'll remove this orange piece. Then these 3 will actually make 3 pieces in the next bar. Oops. Then we're looking for these 2. Oh, that's actually nice. These are already done, so we're just going to go ahead and move the middle right here. That was over here. And insert. There's nothing here, so it doesn't matter. These 2. This one. And there we go. Again, we're going to insert over here, so we remove these 2. This one goes here. This one goes here. Alright, so now you can really start with any center here, obviously. We're just going to do yellow because it's easy because we have a 3x1 and both corners. Next, these 2 line with these 2. This last one. Alright, so these 3 will form 3 pieces. Then this corner will line up here. Now we're going to make the middle. Normally I wouldn't save the middle bar to last, as I mentioned earlier, but since it's completely empty, it's not going to actually hinder us in this case. But we'll go ahead and make it now. So these 2 pieces, then we line them up with the middle and the edge. And then this piece here. So then we have these, we're just making the last bar here. And the last piece is right there. Next, I usually, again, I do the center in front of me. In this case, since nothing's obviously easy, I'm going to go ahead and make the center bar first. So we line up these 3. And nicely enough, we have these 2 already set. We have a nice 4x1 here and the corner right there. Again, we have 4 pieces right here, which is very nice. The last center is right there. We see these 2 and these 2, which we want to line up next. So we can add on this piece to make a 3x1, which will line up nicely with this 2x1. Now we want to insert both of these centers into this partial bar. Alright, now we want to make bars from left to right. So we make this one, this 4x1 in this corner. Then we have this 2x1 and this 3x1. Then this is a nice case because we have both. We can easily complete the middle bar. And then this is another good case. We have this 2x1 and we have this 2x1, and then this will actually be the last piece. So we go here. And then the last piece is right there, as we said. And we can do, instead of, we could bring it down, but we can actually right here, since we have freedom, and then there. So now we build the partial bar on the far right, and we're going to have to do 2 commutators here. Alright, so now we're on the first state edges, which is fairly, as I said, it's pretty much exactly, there's nothing tricky at all in the first state edges that's really any different than 6x6 or 5x5. It's really just recognition. It's pure recognition. If really you want to practice, I definitely would recommend going to my old tip video about kind of how to practice look ahead on your edges. It's definitely a really good thing to use. I've been doing a lot of kind of slow turning solves and solves where I'm not really kind of as serious and just kind of getting times but not being too fast, just to kind of get my recognition a little bit better. And it's definitely been paying off for me a lot. The biggest thing I've improved recently is my edge pairing speed. I think it's definitely shown, especially in some of my newer 5x5 results, as kind of like good edge pairing is more second nature, which is why I'm able to pull it out in competition well. Anyways, now we're on last 4 edges. Oh, we see we already have 3 done here with the red and green. So we know we're going to go ahead and do that. You see the next red and green piece here, we can insert to here with a slice, flip, slice. And we can finish it off with this red and green with a slice, flip, slice. So now we have, I'm going to go ahead and do blue and green. None of them have more than 2. Or actually here, this is nice. So we have 2 blue and greens on the outside. And we have this blue and green can be solved with the M, U2, M prime. And this blue and green, or not blue and green, blue and yellow, or green and yellow, wow. Green and yellow will also be moved, even though it's flipped, it'll be moved into the right edge with this. So now these 3 are solved, and this one is wrong. So we can solve the rest of the bar with a slice, flip, slice. Now we're going to solve, in this case actually it's very easy. We have the orange and green, orange and blue are actually already set up in 5x5 style. So we can do slice, flip, slice to solve, and then parity. And then we do 3x3, which is very nice on 7x7 because there isn't a random chance that you have to add 4 seconds at the end of your solve for literally no reason.